Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I'm Dr. Manpreet Arora from Central University of Himachal Pradesh, Dharamshala. Today, we are going to talk on the module Special Economic Zones from the paper International Business Operations. After completing this module, you will be able to know about the meaning of SEZs, you will understand the functionings of SEZs, and you will gain knowledge about the role of SEZs in India. With the advancement in technology and growth in the standard of living all over the world, almost for every nation, the increase in the growth rate has become a prime concern and an objective too. Every nation takes appropriate steps to achieve their goals of growth and advancement. Industry plays a pivotal role in the increase of growth rate. That is why governments try to give plenty of facilities to the industries for efficient and greater production of goods and services. When certain facilities are given to industries, they can become competitive in terms of price as well as quality. The governments all over the world provide added advantage by providing certain tax advantages, special schemes, mostly in terms of custom duties. One of the important and widely accepted ways of providing with such added advantages is demarking certain area for the purpose of industrial growth by providing subsidies or special schemes to make the industry competitive in the world market. Such demarked or identified area for growth and advancement of industry is regarded as special economic zones. In different countries, different type of activities are allowed in a particular zone on the basis of level of government control. Countries like USA have earmarked certain sites where special custom procedures are allowed. They are basically involved in foreign trade. That is why they have been termed as free trade zones. In countries like UAE, total exemption has been provided from all taxes and duties on the profits in addition to the other benefits and advantages. Such zones are termed as free zones. Most common of the zones are export processing zones. As the name suggests, they are established for the purpose of promoting exports. These zones provide and concentrate on benefiting the exporters in many terms. They provide them all the facilities at one place. Relaxed customer procedures are one of the advantageous features of export processing zones. All export processing zones have been upgraded to special economic zones in India in the past years. Many developing nations have created SEZs to attract foreign investments. Countries like China, India, Poland, they have created many SEZs and they have gained immensely from the model of special economic zones. SEZs have become an important source of employment creation all over the world. Around 120 countries all over the world operate on SEZ model and they gain tremendously. Export-oriented activities, they get a good boost if a country declares some of its areas as special economic or free zones. SEZs have immense capacity to generate employment opportunities. The setting up of SEZs create a lot of indirect employment in terms of labor required. Many developing nations witnessed this thing and reaped positive benefits out of it. SEZs have become a medium wherein if not only helps the developing nations, it also helps to attract foreign companies who are looking for cheaper and efficient location to set up their businesses offshore. But if it also allows and contributes the nation's development by giving an opportunities to the local industries to improve their export through a proper channel. The domestic industries grow and flourish as they get new foreign partners from the outside world. and they can sell their product at very competitive prices. SEZs attract investment in foreign exchange, they spur employment, and they boost the economic development of the country. They help in improving the technologies as well as infrastructure. In this module, we will also know and understand that what is the concept of SEZ and how do they contribute in the development of an economy. Let us understand the meaning and concept of SEZs. SEZs are special economic zones, and it is an explicitly delineated enclave which is generally duty-free. It is deemed to be like a foreign territory for the purpose of conducting trade operations and duties and tariffs. In SEZ, a distinct geographical region is identified that has economic laws which are different from a country's typical economic laws. The basic objective of setting up of a SEZ generally is to increase, induce, and attract foreign investments. SEZs have been established in several countries, including China, India, Jordan, Poland, Kazakhstan, Philippines, and Russia. The fastest developing nations like China have now the most prominent SEZs like Shenzhen, Xiamen, Shantou. The country has availed many benefits by establishing SEZs in the said areas, as sea is very accessible from these SEZs for transportation of goods. In India, SEZ is the extension of EPZ scheme, that is Export Processing Zone scheme. In special economic zones, various additional benefits are provided as compared to export processing zones. The scheme of special economic zones is very hassle-free to induce foreign investors. The special economic zones in India helps to boost exports of the country, thereby contribute in earning of the foreign exchange. These zones provide various kinds of infrastructural facilities which are indispensable for the development of industries in the region. In countries like China, normally these zones are very huge in size and are very apt for mass production activities. These zones not only promote foreign investment but also provide the domestic industries ample opportunities to grow and diversify. Whether it is free zones or it is foreign trade zones or it is export processing zones or it is special economic zones, the essence of these zones is to earmark the areas for the purpose of customs, and it also provide the industry various additional benefits, schemes, incentives as compared to other units which operate in the country. Let us now throw some light on the features of special economic zones. Special economic zone is a geographical region that has economic laws that are more liberal than a country's typical economic laws. Secondly, an SEZ is a trade capacity development tool with the goal to promote a rapid economic growth by using tax and business incentives to attract foreign investment as well as technology. Today, there are approximately 3,000 SEZs operating in 120 countries around the world. This accounts for over $600 billion in exports and about 50 million jobs all over the world. Moreover, the special economic zones they provide a medium wherein it not only attracts the foreign companies looking for the cheaper and efficient location to set up their offshore business, but it also allows the local industries to improve their export through a proper channel and with the help of new foreign partners to the outside world at a very competitive price. The special economic zones, they offer relaxed tax and tariff policies, which is different from the other economic areas in the country. The duty-free import of raw materials for the production is one example. Moreover, the free trade zones, they attract big players who want to set up business without any license hassles and the long process involved in it. Most of the allotment is done through a single window system, which is highly transparent system. The bottom line, therefore, is increased export and foreign direct investment, enabling increased public-private partnership and ultimately resulting in the development of world-class infrastructure, boost economic growth, exports and employment. Let us discuss about how the concept of special economic zones was developed in India. In India, until 1991, the economy was marked with high complex bureaucratic system, which had so many procedural hassles. Licensing Raj was the biggest hindrance in the development of the economy. Foreign investment was limited as foreign investors were not at all allowed in the sectors. In 1991, India adopted the policy of LPG, that is, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. In the changing circumstances and to make its global presence, India wanted to increase its exports and enhance its foreign exchange earnings. Thereby, to achieve this goal, the idea of special economic zones was conceived. The basic objective of setting up of these zones is to promote and boost trading activities. All the units are freely allowed to import any kind of material which is required for production. Government, by providing various and all infrastructural facilities, support, assist, help these units so that the trading activities can be boosted. To gain various advantages like tax benefits, cheaper labor and other resources, the units operating in these zones operate on large scale. Ultimately, they get competitive advantage in terms of better quality product which are at very competitive prices so that they are able to compete in the global market, they are able to give competition to the foreign players and get economies of scale. Initially, before the scheme of special economic zones, the concept of export processing zones, that is EPZs, it was initiated in 1965 in Kandla, Gujarat. Indian manufacturers were very much lacking behind in the global market in terms of quality. Therefore, certain special benefits as well as subsidies were the only way out by which the manufacturers could result in low cost of production and better quality of the products so that they could sell their products in the global market. Therefore, government took an initiative to establish zones where people can come and start their units for not only boosting exports but to increase trade in every aspect. They were allowed several benefits in terms of procurement of raw material and other resources which are needed for better production. In the beginning, the aim of the government was to boost export-oriented activities. Therefore, first EPZ was established in Kandla, Gujarat. The landlocked area was identified, which was under continuous surveillance of custom authorities so as to protect the national interests. In these zones, a strict check was maintained on the input and output of resources as well as the actions of the manufacturers. EPZ were established in the era of 60s in many countries. They have helped in promoting export-oriented industrialization with boosting the trade of domestic production also. In India, in order to facilitate and encourage foreign trade investment, various export-oriented units are given special benefits in special economic zones. These units operate in an enclave which is governed by distinct rules as compared to the other territory in terms of taxes and custom duties. Special economic zones are dealt like foreign countries or a foreign territory. SEZs are set up in India in order to enable internationally competitive environment for boosting exports. Only few items are prohibited to be traded in such zones. The units which operate in SEZs are allowed to import or export the required items except the prohibited items. These units are allowed to import their requirements duty-free, which will be used as input for their export production. They are also not required to obtain import licenses. Various kinds of units can be set up in these special economic zones. It can range from manufacturing or processing or assembling, etc. The essence of creating a foreign territory lies in the fact that these units are provided a free environment which is helpful in producing more, in manufacturing more, and ultimately boosting the trading activities of the economy. The biggest and the largest advantage to these units is that their activities are not custom supervised. That means no custom examination of their consignments is done. These units are directly supervised by the Government of India. A letter of permission has to be obtained to run a unit in special economic zone. Special economic zone units are also permitted to go for outsourcing or subcontracting a part of their production or a process. They can go for subcontracting abroad even or in the Indian domestic tariff area. Within special economic zone, free inter-unit transfer of goods is also allowed. These units have the facility to obtain their needs, requirements from the Indian domestic tariff areas. They are free from duties and taxes. Within SEZ, free inter-unit transfer of goods is also allowed. These units have the facility to obtain their needs or requirements from the Indian domestic tariff area free from duties and taxes. Whatever supply is done to the SEZs, they are treated as deemed exports and thereby they are exempted from the payment of central excise duty. If special economic zones wish to sell their product in the Indian territory, they can do it by paying all the duties and taxes. The Indian government has permitted to set up the special economic zones in the public sector or the joint sector or by the government. The minimum size of the special economic zones has been prescribed to be not less than 1000 hectares. Only the units which are approved under Special Economic Zone scheme would be permitted to be located in Special Economic Zone. The said permitted units will have to abide by the local laws, rules, regulations in regard to area planning, sewerage disposal, pollution control, etc. They will have to abide by industrial as well as labor laws if they are locally applicable. Wherever is the SEZ, they are landlocked and inland container depot will be an integral part of SEZ. The special economic zones may export wide variety of goods and services ranging from the byproducts for the exports. It may include any kind of good or service. It includes agro products. It also includes sub-assemblies and components. They include partly processed jewelry. It includes scrap arising out of production process. Even the rejects of the goods are also included in this. The SEZ units are free to import all kind of goods which are required for export production. These units can also import capital goods, whether new or second hand, which may be required for its activities. Certain items have been listed which are prohibited from imports. All goods will be imported under the SEZ premises. Let us discuss about the procedure for applying to establish an SEZ. The applicant who is interested to establish an SEZ has to furnish an application to the Chief Secretary of the state by stating the following details. The first is name and address of the applicant. The second one, the details of the promoter. The third one, a project report covering the details of the project. The fourth one, details of any existing or proposed infrastructure. The fifth one, the location of the proposed zone. The sixth one, the distance of the zone from the nearest seaport, airport, railroad, etc. Moreover, it must also state the proposed area for the zone. The zone area should also be accompanied by the details of the financial area regarding the investment proposal. How the project would be financed. The mode of financing should also be discussed in that proposal. Various feasibilities like the technical and the financial viability of the project will be also stated in that report. The details of foreign equity and repatriation of the dividends, if any, should also be stated in the said proposal. The details of the proposed industries to be allowed in the zone, that is, only specific industries to be established, or will it be a multi-product zone, should be mentioned in the said proposal. If the state government is satisfied with the above cited details, they shall forward it along with their comments to the Departments of Commerce, Government of India. The state government will have to furnish the following information also. The first is that the proposed special economic zone is free from all environmental restrictions. The state government will provide water, electricity and other services as required. An undertaking that the state government will provide full exemption in electricity duty and tax on sale of electricity for self-generated and purchased power. That the state government will permit the SEZ to generate, transmit and distribute power within the SEZ. That the SEZ will be exempted from the state sale tax, octroi, turnover tax and tax duty, cess, levies on supply of goods from domestic tariff area to SEZ units. There will be a single point clearance system and minimum inspection requirements under state laws or rules for the said special economic zone. For all the units inside the zone, the powers relating to the Industrial Disputes Act and other related acts will be delegated to the Development Commissioner or any other official as designated by the state governments exclusively for the zone. The zone will be declared as a public utility service under the Industrial Dispute Act. The said proposal, along with the above cited details, will be considered by Interministerial Committee in the Department of Commerce. If the proposal is accepted, a letter of the permission will be issued to the applicant. Let us know that how do we set up an unit in SEZ. If any person wants to set up a manufacturing, trading or a service unit in SEZ, he'll have to prepare a project proposal for the same. The 5 copies of the project proposal will have to be submitted to the Development Commissioner of the SEZ. All the approvals will be given by the Development Commissioner. The permitted units will have to furnish periodic reports to the Development Commissioner and the zone customs. The allowed SEZ units may import or procure the requirements of capital goods, raw materials, consumables, spares, packing material and office equipment, etc. from the domestic sources duty-free. All the supplies made to the SEZ units will be treated as deemed exports. Such domestic suppliers are eligible for deemed export benefits. Let us discuss the need of SEZs, especially in the developing nations. The special economic zones have become an important and indispensable tool for the developing nations, which aspire for achieving high growth rate. The following are the main points which support the need and rationale of developing special economic zones. First is, in developing nations, to carry out any massive development project, huge capital investment is required. For undertaking any kind of massive development program, the government requires huge amount of funds. The special economic zones can be a great source to attract foreign direct investment, thereby generating foreign exchange. Generally, in developing nations, most of the industries are established by the public sector. Private sector has a huge potential in terms of financial resources, modern technology, and competitive strengths. In order to attract private sector, creation of special economic zones is an important source to raise the level of production. This in turn helps to earn foreign exchange and boost exports. The special economic zones with relaxed import tariffs help the import dependent and export driven industries to flourish by helping them develop manufactured goods at competitive prices. SEZs promote and support all kinds of trading activities. They act as a great source of employment generation in developing nations. Trade is quite hassle-free in SEZs. Therefore, technology transfer from developed nations become easier in such zones. It in turn helps the developing nations to be benefited from the modern techniques of production, etc., of the developed countries. So, the students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. The concept of SEZs in India can be summarized in terms of their objectives, which in turn becomes advantages when fulfilled. The concept is summarized in relation to the Indian economy as the main reward of SEZ units in India can be summarized as encouragement to industrialization and economic growth through sustainable development. It gives us better employment opportunities. It helps us to do better use of modern techniques of production, and it helps us to get an easy access to raw material for production. It also helps us to lower down our cost of production due to various subsidies, taxes, rebates, zero duties, customs, etc. Better quality product is produced so as to create acceptability in the global market. It gives us various competitive advantages if we operate in an SEZ. SEZ also boosts and generates additional economic activities. It promotes exports of goods and services. It also promotes investment from domestic and foreign. It helps in development of infrastructural facilities in the country. And we get simplified procedures and hassle-free environment under it. Thank you.